welcome to the podcast. You are not just believers, but disciples. So I want you, the listener, to just imagine for a second that you are tasked with launching this massive movement.
Oh boy, good luck.
Right. And it's designed to eventually reach like billions of people across the whole globe. But here's the catch. You have some genuinely severe constraints.
Severe is probably an understatement.
Seriously. I mean, your budget is absolute zero. You have $0. Your marketing team, it just does not exist.
Right.
There's no social media, no printing press, no fast transportation. I mean, if you handed that brief to like a modern project manager today or some Silicon Valley growth hacker.
They left you right out of the room. I mean, literally.
Exactly. They would just say it's impossible.
Because it violates basically every contemporary rule we have for scaling an organization. I mean, we are just so conditioned to believe that, massive reach requires massive capital.
Oh, absolutely. Capital, huge stages, rigid hierarchies.
Yeah, broadcast technology, all of that.
Which is exactly what makes our deep dive today so incredibly compelling to me. Because, 2,000 years ago, a man with exactly those impossible constraints executed this social algorithm, really, that was so structurally sound that it is literally still running today.
It's still running, and it's still expanding.
Right. So today, we are diving into a really specific set of ancient source texts. We're focusing on the covenant training notes, specifically looking at Luke chapter 10. And we're not just looking at this as, historical theology.
No, not at all.
We're looking at it as a remarkably sophisticated, highly practical 8-step field guide. A guide for building a completely decentralized grassroots movement right from the ground up in ordinary people's homes.
And what really emerges from this text is this blueprint that it just completely bypasses massive stages. It ignores institutional power altogether.
It totally flips the script.
It really does. It relies entirely on everyday people. It leverages these deeply embedded human psychology principles and natural social networks to achieve exponential growth.
So let's just jump right into how this operation actually launches. Step 1 in our deep dive. The text describes Jesus sending out 70 people ahead of him into various towns to, prepare the way, but he explicitly sends them in pairs, 2 by 2.
Right, the teamwork aspect.
Yeah, but honestly, if I am looking at this through the lens of maximizing my reach, right, and I have a ticking clock, sending people out in pairs seems like a terrible strategic error.
It looks so inefficient on paper.
Exactly. I have 70 volunteers. If I deploy them 2 by 2, I'm only hitting 35 towns. I mean, I am literally cutting my geographical footprint in half on day 1. Why would you do that?
Yeah, on a pure efficiency spreadsheet,
Yes.
It absolutely looks like bad math. But if we dive into the context of the ancient Near East,
Okay.
and really just human psychology in general, it is an incredibly shrewd move. Because before deploying them, Jesus actually warns these workers. He tells them they're going out, quote, like sheep among wolves.
Wow. Okay, so not a warm welcome.
Not at all. This isn't some friendly networking event with a receptive audience, They are walking into highly territorial, completely unfamiliar, and frankly, potentially hostile environments.
Ah, I see. So the primary obstacle they're facing isn't logistical distance. It's not about how fast they can walk.
No.
It's the psychological toll of the environment itself.
Precisely. Because when you enter a completely foreign space to disrupt the status quo, your most dangerous enemies aren't logistical. They are fear, they are ridicule, and just profound rejection.
Right, that fear of the door slamming in your face.
Exactly. Imagine walking into a hostile village entirely alone. You try to engage with someone and they aggressively shut you down.
Yeah.
And then you try again and maybe you're publicly mocked. By the third attempt, your morale is just entirely crushed. I mean, the natural human instinct there is to just quit, pack up your bags, and retreat to safety.
Just give up. I mean, anyone would.
Right. But when you introduce a partner into that equation, you change the entire emotional architecture of that interaction.
Oh, because you have backup.
You build this immediate micro-support system. While one person is taking the brunt of the rejection, getting the door slammed on them, the other person is there to absorb the shock.
They can read the room.
Exactly. They observe the room, they can silently pray, and they offer perspective when they both walk away. So the strategy here deliberately sacrifices the speed of the initial reach to guarantee the sustainability of the workers.
Wow. Sustainability over speed.
Because think about it. A fast mission that burns out in 48 hours achieves zero impact.
Yeah, 0.
But a slower mission that is actually equipped to endure hostility, That will eventually saturate the entire map.
You're trading a quick spike in your metrics for long-term survival. That makes so much sense. And honestly, that actually makes the next piece of this algorithm, step 2, even more intriguing to me.
The part about the workers.
Yeah. So the text notes, the harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Now, the modern corporate instinct here is painfully obvious to anyone who's ever worked in a company. Oh, yeah. Launch a massive recruitment drive.
Exactly. Put out a call for volunteers, poach talent from parallel organizations, post on LinkedIn. But the instruction given to these workers is totally different. They're told to pray for more workers.
Which completely subverts how we naturally want to build organizations.
How so?
Well, as leaders or, community organizers, we desperately want our hands firmly on the steering wheel. We want to control the hiring process, vet the resumes.
Right. Run the background checks.
Exactly. We want to build the expansion team from our own trusted internal camp.
So by instructing them to pray, you're essentially demanding a radical shift in control. You're forcing the organizers to take that burden of success completely off their own shoulders.
Yes, and transfer it entirely to God. It strips away all that human micromanagement. And practically speaking, it introduces a profound pivot in how the movement actually scales.
What do you mean by that?
Well, the instruction implies that the new workers aren't going to be imported from headquarters. God is going to extract them from the harvest itself, from the new town. Oh, wow. Meaning the new community we are trying to reach already contains the exact people who will eventually lead the movement in that area.
Yes. The infrastructure for expansion is already embedded in the target environment. You don't have to bring it with you. You just have to locate it.
Okay, and this leads us to step 3. How do you actually locate it? You've just walked into a town where you don't know a single soul.
Right.
You can't just stand on a street corner shouting your message. That's the fastest way to get completely ignored or, honestly, run out of town.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
So the text introduces this highly specific targeting mechanism, finding what it calls a person of peace.
Ah, yes. The master key.
The master key. Explain that analogy for us.
So think of a community as a massive apartment building, right?
Yeah.
And it has 50 securely locked doors. Now, you could try picking every single lock, knocking on every door, trying to cold pitch every individual family.
Which sounds exhausting.
It would take months of grinding, exhausting effort. Or alternatively, you could just find the building superintendent.
Oh, right.
The one person who holds the master key and can effortlessly open the entire building for you all at once. The person of peace is that master key to the community.
They naturally bridge the gap between an outsider and a closed community. I'm assuming, they possess specific social capital.
Immense social capital.
Right.
And they're usually characterized by a few observable traits.
Like what? How do we spot them today?
Well, they're naturally hospitable. They do not immediately throw up defensive walls when they encounter something or someone new. They're actually willing to listen.
Yeah.
And most importantly, they are deeply woven into the fabric of their community.
Oh, I know exactly who you mean. It's like the coworker who organizes all the office birthdays or the neighbor in your colony who instinctively knows everyone on the block and always hosts the summer barbecues.
Exactly. They act as central nodes in a decentralized trust network. And here's the brilliant part. Once you are accepted by this master key, you completely bypass the community's defensive immune system.
Because you inherit their credibility.
Yes. If the person of peace trusts you, their friends, their family, their colleagues, they all implicitly trust you by extension.
That inherited trust is huge. But it leads to what I think is honestly the most counterintuitive instruction in this entire blueprint. This brings us to step 4.
Building the covenant.
Yeah. The text tells these workers that once they find this person of peace, they're to go into their house, eat whatever food is offered to them, and just stay there.
Stay put.
Wait, hold on. I have to push back on this because if my ultimate objective is mass saturation of a town, why am I intentionally isolating myself in one single dining room?
It feels restrictive, right?
It does. Shouldn't I use their house as like a secure base camp, drop my bags off, and then immediately hit the streets going door to door to everyone else in the village?
Well, it's a deeply ingrained instinct to want to, conquer the territory.
Yeah.
But this specific instruction to stay put and eat their food, it relies on mastering asymmetrical power dynamics.
Power dynamics?
Yeah.
How so?
Think about how a standard pitch or a modern political canvassing effort works. When you knock on a stranger's door to deliver a message, or when you stand on a raised stage with a microphone, who holds the authority in that interaction?
Well, I do. I control the narrative, the talking points, the environment. I am the elevated expert dispensing information downward to the audience.
Exactly. But when you walk into someone else's home, sit at their dining table, and eat their food, you completely surrender that home field advantage. You intentionally strip yourself of authority. You become the dependent one in the relationship.
Because they're the host.
Right. You are receiving their hospitality and participating in their culture on their terms, not yours.
Wow. That requires a profound level of cultural vulnerability.
It does. And that vulnerability is incredibly disarming. It transforms the interaction from a transactional sales pitch, where, defenses are naturally high into what the text refers to as a covenant.
And in this context, a covenant isn't just like a cold legal agreement.
No, not at all. It is a sacred, deeply rooted, family-like bond.
You aren't trying to conquer the town. You are allowing yourself to be adopted by it.
Beautifully put, yes.
Which completely changes the sequence of how the actual message is delivered. Because, and this is step 5, before they even introduce the core theology, the workers are instructed to heal the sick in that specific house.
Yes. They lead with visceral, practical compassion.
Which is so smart.
It's a brilliant acknowledgement of human nature. It's essentially anticipating Maslow's hierarchy of needs by 2 millennia.
Right.
Because you cannot effectively communicate a high-minded philosophy or a spiritual truth to someone who is literally starving.
No.
Or to someone who is paralyzed by severe physical or emotional pain.
The immediate suffering just creates too much cognitive static. I mean, if I walk into a grieving or hurting household and just start lecturing them about a new kingdom, I'm just a callous marketer pushing an agenda.
Exactly. You're tone deaf.
But if I stop, acknowledge their tangible pain, and actively address it, I'm proving my authenticity.
The act of healing, of meeting urgent practical needs, it validates the messenger.
Yeah.
It proves that your presence in their home is motivated by genuine love and care, rather than just some desire for converts or institutional expansion.
It's authentic compassion.
Yes. And only after that trust is solidified through tangible action does the human heart actually open to a new conceptual framework.
And when it finally is time to introduce that framework, which is step 6, the message that the kingdom of God has come near to you, the methodology they use completely strips away the traditional educational hierarchy we're all used to.
Right. They don't just start preaching a sermon.
No. They employ a model known in the notes as the Discovery Bible Study, or DBS.
And the absolute genius of the DBS method is that it flattens the room.
What do you mean by flattens?
Well, think about a standard religious service or even a university lecture hall. You have the sage on the stage, right? A centralized expert who dictates doctrine or information to a completely passive audience.
Yeah, it's a one-way street of rigid information delivery. The audience just sits and absorbs.
But DBS removes the stage entirely. It places everyone in a circle. And in a circle, everyone is fundamentally equal.
There's no back row.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There is no central authority figure lecturing the room on what they must believe.
But wait, if there's no central teacher guiding the narrative, I imagine that things could easily descend into chaos. Are they just blindly guessing what the text means?
No. It is guided, but it's guided through the mechanism of self-discovery rather than direct instruction.
Okay, how does that actually work in practice?
In a DBS group, the circle reads a passage together, treating it just like a simple narrative. Then, instead of a leader explaining all the theological nuances, the group explores foundational, open-ended questions.
Like what kind of questions?
Very simple ones. What does this story reveal about the nature of God? What does this story reveal about human nature?
That's fascinating. I've read quite a bit on the cognitive science of learning, and the difference in retention here is staggering.
Oh, it's night and day.
Because if an authority figure spoon-feeds you a fact, it just sits in your short-term memory. You'll likely lose it by the end of the week. But the moment you connect the dots yourself, wrestle with the text, and extract that insight.
It becomes proprietary.
Yes, it is your realization. It wires itself deeply into your long-term worldview.
The ownership of the truth shifts permanently from the institution to the individual. And this methodology really culminates in the most vital question asked in the circle. What is God saying to you through this?
It makes it personal.
Very. It demands immediate personal relevance. It bridges the gap between some ancient text and the reality of their life in that exact moment.
But, personal reflection without execution is just philosophy. We all know how quickly a profound realization can fade once you leave the room and get back to real life.
Oh, absolutely.
Which brings us to step 7. Because this blueprint doesn't let you get away with just feeling inspired. The text actually shows the original 70 workers returning to report their
Right,
experiences.
the debrief.
They actively debrief their successes, their failures, and the resistance they faced. It's built-in accountability.
Because a movement built entirely on warm, fuzzy self-discovery, that will evaporate the moment it encounters real-world friction.
Yeah.
True discipleship, true dedication to any transformative movement requires rigorous, uncompromising accountability.
Yeah.
Without it, the movement just dies in the living room.
I call it the gym coach effect.
Oh, I like that. Explain that.
Okay, so you can watch 100 hours of weightlifting techniques on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
You can understand the perfect biomechanics of a deadlift, and you can map out a flawless nutritional plan.
Sure.
But if you are working out entirely alone in your basement, what happens? The moment the weight gets heavy, you compromise.
They skip a day.
You quit. The initial motivation inevitably wanes.
Oh, 100%.
If you have a gym coach, a coach who is going to look you dead in the eye on Friday afternoon and ask, did you hit your macros on Wednesday? Did you finish your sets? You execute.
Because of the pressure.
Yes. You don't push through the pain because you feel fleetingly inspired. You do it out of a sense of deep responsibility and accountability to that coach.
That psychological mechanism applies perfectly to spiritual and communal growth. In these DBS groups, the first order of business when they reunite isn't to read a new, entertaining story.
No.
The very first question asked is, how did you apply the decisions you made last week?
Oh, wow. They actually check the homework.
They check the homework. If you realized last week that you needed to reconcile with an estranged sibling or give up a destructive habit, the group demands to know if you followed through.
The group demands action over intellect.
Exactly. Mere intellectual agreement isn't tolerated.
That.
And sharing how they actually stepped out into the world, faced their fears, and attempted to live out these principles, that shared, vulnerable struggle, is the exact mortar that permanently cements the covenant bond we discussed earlier.
That makes total sense. But I do have one last concern here, leading to our final step. Step 8. How do we prevent this highly bonded, accountable group from just becoming an insular, isolated little club? I mean, if they just sit around a dining table holding each other accountable forever, the global mission stalls completely.
That is the perpetual danger of any successful micro-community. They become inward-facing. It becomes a country club.
Right.
But the blueprint solves this bottleneck with one final, brilliantly simple, outward-facing mechanism. The ultimate question asked before the gathering disperses is, who will you share this with this week?
It immediately forces the knowledge out of the room.
Yes. It demands that the insight does not stop at the person who discovered it.
It's like a viral loop.
Exactly. It acts as the agent of exponential multiplication. It leverages the broader social network of that person of peace we identified in the very beginning.
Because they already know people.
Right. The individuals sitting in that circle do not get to remain passive consumers of knowledge. The moment they receive it, they're immediately commissioned as active distributors.
They have a job to do now.
They are tasked with going out and finding their own person of peace in a new context, starting the entire 8-step cycle over again, and celebrating what God is doing through it.
Wow. Okay, when you zoom out and synthesize this entire journey for the listener, it really is a masterclass in organic anti-fragile scaling.
It really is.
I mean, let's just recap. You start by going in pairs to ensure emotional resilience against rejection. You rely on the system itself to produce its own leaders through prayer.
Right.
You locate the master key to seamlessly unlock a community's trust network. You intentionally surrender your power at their dining table to build a sacred, unbreakable covenant bond.
Vulnerability.
Yes. You lead with visceral, practical compassion before ever opening your mouth to preach. You foster deep self-discovery rather than lecturing from a stage. You enforce rigorous gym coach-level accountability to ensure action.
Checking the homework.
Checking the homework. And finally, you demand constant replication to expand the network infinitely.
And it does all of this without a single piece of modern infrastructure, without a marketing budget, and without centralized institutional control.
Incredible. So, as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you, the listener, with something totally different to chew on.
Yeah, let's hear it.
We've spent this entire time dissecting a 2,000-year-old social algorithm, but consider the exact moment in history we are living in right now.
It's a weird time. We are rapidly approaching a tidal wave of AI-generated content, hyper-realistic deepfakes, and just profound institutional distrust across the board.
Yep. The digital world is becoming increasingly unreliable, and mass broadcasting is really losing its credibility.
People don't trust the big stages anymore.
Exactly. As the internet floods with synthetic realities, we might find that this ancient, hyperlocal, human-to-human trust algorithm, sitting at a neighbor's table, demonstrating tangible compassion and building decentralized circles of equals, isn't just a fascinating historical curiosity.
It might be the only way forward.
It might be the only mathematically and psychologically reliable way to build a genuine movement in the future. We often look for big platforms or massive crowds to make an impact. But what if the person of peace is already sitting right in front of you? A friendly colleague in your office or a neighbor in your colony, and you're completely missing them because you're looking for something bigger. The most advanced technology for changing the world might just be a dining room table.
That's a powerful thought.
You are not just believers, but disciples. We will meet again in the next episode.